I'm Darren Grubel, and today I'm going to be talking about what I believe our current world's boogeyman is globalization. As our world's everyday lives become more intertwined, economies are increasingly becoming interlocked. Globalization describes a trend for economies, cultures, politics, and technological advances of the entire world to be connected. Globalization enables borders to become less relevant, cultures to share ideas, and really our entire world to be more reliant on each other. Yet, even with these benefits, globalization has caused some pain points for some communities and really even entire nations. There's a couple key technologies and policies that undergird globalization. First, technological advances in transportation allowed people and goods to move further and faster. Even though they may pale in comparison to our high speed world, steamships and railroads really rocketed globalization. Because people and goods weren't really tied to their immediate community anymore, they could travel to wherever the best economic potential was and sell their goods there. Next, airplanes and immediate communication tools like the telegraph, the telephone, and the internet were developed, and the world could really coordinate activities on a global scale. This provided for an economic boom as activities could be executed anywhere in the world. Next, the policies of reducing trade barriers meant that goods from other nations weren't artificially higher, more expensive inside importer communities. This enabled countries that maybe excelled at producing one type of product to really focus on that and export their surplus. So it ends up being all about efficiency and effectiveness. One of the key drivers of globalization is new and emerging markets. As globalization rises, brand new customer bases open up, providing companies with the opportunity to sell their product to new customers. This can lead to increased efficiencies as companies' product cycles can produce more sales with less research and development or marketing costs. These new markets also come with their own resources in terms of raw materials and labor forces. Ultimately, these low-income markets hopefully develop into full developed markets with a huge purchasing power. One of the effects of globalization means that products are no longer have to be developed, produced, and consumed inside their nation of origin. If you look at Toyota, for instance, they may develop a car in Japan, build the engine in Wales and the chassis in England, wire it in China, and then assemble it all in America. This specialization development allows for further efficiencies in the supply chain, and a company can decide who produces the best part for the lowest cost. You just think of simple nuts and bolts. Just because a place produces great nuts doesn't necessarily mean it's the best place to produce bolts. Or even if you think of strawberries have globalization impact. I believe that we have some of the best strawberries in the world produced by our local farmers. They are sweet and incredibly tasting, but their season only lasts for a couple months before the stands start to close down for fall, winter, and really even early spring months. Because of globalization, I can still get good strawberries at the grocery store year round. They may not be the best flavor, but they are still available. Now, all of these benefits don't come without some uncertainties. Labor may be the biggest loser in globalization. Jobs that were once keystone inside communities may be eliminated due to reduced labor costs elsewhere in the world. This eases the tight employment market, which in turn can reduce wages for workers inside developed nations. And next, there's also concern that globalization exploits workers in developing nations, as the workers don't benefit as much as the businesses do. There's also concern about individual cultures being lost as we kind of homogenize our whole world's taste and desires. As we tie our economic futures together, economic weaknesses can have a devastating effect on other nations that really weren't offenders. If you look at the financial crash of 2008, countries and local people were hurt who really had nothing to do with the precipitating cause or crashes that really hurt the financial market. Ultimately, for me, globalization is about efficiency. it leads to more, better, and cheaper products being produced. This in turn makes the world more productive and thus more wealthy. Now, we certainly lack certain protections, and inequality still exists in our system. So the sooner we can deal with those, the better off the world's going to be. Thank you for your time.